Welcome to another episode of Monster Monday from the Ready to Die channel. This series explores the design of a creature I have built for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The stat block for this creature can be found over on the Monster Monday blog, as well as the Twitter and Discord, all of which are linked below. This week is a special one as I present the Clockwork Demolisher, an original creature whose concept first came from one of my baby brothers and was brought into Pathfinder 2nd Edition by yours truly. The background of this brawling bot is as mining equipment, specifically used to dig out dangerous and unstable mine shafts. Their sturdy armor meant that even in the case of a cave-in, they could be retrieved largely intact. However, unscrupulous mine owners and foremen started using them on striking or protesting workers. From there, demolishers have found their way into the hands of other unsavory sorts, who have used them as enforcers, vault breakers, and vandals. My brother is a huge fan of clockwork creatures, which heavily influenced this type of monster. As for its level, this is based on an aspect that we will get into during the discussion of its design. The entire purpose of this creature is to punch through stone and minerals, which is why it uses an extreme strength score. But it is big and clunky, which is why it has a low dexterity and constitution between low and moderate. As a mindless creature, its mental stats are absolutely abysmal. For that same reason, it uses a low bonus for its perception, though given it was designed to operate in caves, I included dark vision in its senses. Its athletics bonus is almost extreme since it wants to be busting stuff down and breaking through stuff, but it still uses a moderate acrobatics, so that it can balance on uneven and precarious ground within the caverns. As mentioned, the Demolisher isn't terribly nimble. A low armor class serves to demonstrate this, and is compensated with a high pool of hit points and a low physical resistance. This resistance and its orichalcum bypass is pretty standard for clockwork creatures, as is its high weakness to electricity damage. With its ability scores, it uses only a moderate fortitude and reflex, and then has a low will, but even then, as a construct, it has a slew of immunities that negate many of these weaknesses. There's quite a bit when it comes to discussing the Demolisher's offensive capabilities, despite the fact that it wasn't originally intended for combat. Its pile driver has a high attack bonus, and it is equipped with the forceful and raising traits to help break apart stone walls. I think it is worth mentioning that these stack, since raising isn't a type of damage bonus. It just increases damage, whereas forceful adds a circumstance bonus to damage. Its damage starts at low, and this is actually a reason for it being a level 5 creature. I wanted a level that had low damage starting at D4s and extreme damage at D12s. And the reason for that is its building force. This increases its damage die by one size each time it makes a pile driver strike. Those strikes that are critical failures end up reducing its damage die instead. This means, after one strike, the Demolisher is dealing moderate damage. Another strike, it's on high damage. After its third, its damage is between high and extreme, and then after its fourth strike, it's punching at extreme damage with a high attack bonus. Most of its abilities are themed around its increasing damage die, so we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. It can only use its focused jabs when it has a D6 or lower damage on its pile driver, and then functions on a similar effect as Double Slice, including the increased map and the compiling damage. Opening a fight with this means that the Demolisher's next strike can be at a D8, which in turn sets it up for Ringing Blow, an attack that can only be used when its pile driver is dealing D8s or D10s. This is a pretty basic strike that comes with a stun against a high fortitude DC. It uses a flourish trait to keep it from stunning too many foes, or to just keep trying when somebody succeeds at the save, though it is limited to 2 stuns before it can't use it anymore, unless you gamble on an intentional critical failure to keep its damage die lower so that you can keep using this. However, I don't really get why you would want to do that when you can instead build up to its explosive force. Only usable once it's gotten up to a D12 damage die, this includes a strike followed by an eruption of pure force intended to break down walls and the like, but also works to break down people in its way. This force damage is at limited use, since this ability then resets the Demolisher's strike back down to a D4 damage die. This damage is also at a high DC, and includes the target of the Demolisher's strike. I wanted to play around with this ability a bit, and since I included a strike, I decided to do so with that portion of it. A crit on this attack devastates the ground in the area, and hits with such force that the initial victim is at a penalty on their save against it. There's only a couple more tools left in the Demolisher's kit. Gather Momentum is intended to help facilitate the Demolisher advancing its damage die against enemies that try to kite it. There's still a way to take advantage of it by making sure it either can't move in a straight line, or doesn't have enough space to really gather up this force, but as long as it can move and do so, the strike it makes at the end of this ability increases its damage die by 2 steps instead of 1. Finally, since it is a construct that has the chance of facing a variety of situations beneath the earth, it can reconfigure limb to modify its sole limb for different circumstances. This translates to mechanical effects by it essentially having the modular trait, and then getting to add another trait on top of it to its weapon for a period of time. Actually, specifically on this topic, Monster Mash is back, featuring this creature. And in said Monster Mash, which you can check out on the channel, the Demolisher used this in a big way when it reconfigured its limb into a piercing drill with the deadly trait, which it then proceeded to crit on when using its explosive force, dealing somewhere around 51 damage with the strike alone. It was pretty optimal, if I do say so myself. But let's end on that high note. This roughhousing robot rumbles with rivals, readily rocking rabble-rousers and rowdy rounds of raucous Rochambeau. At level 5, this can be used as an early mini-boss, possibly after the heroes have faced down some robbers, or maybe in the depths of a mine where they meet a malfunctioning mech. Their tankiness can force players to actually try to recall knowledge on them to figure out their weaknesses, and players that just try to hang and bang may not live to regret their decision. I'm always excited to bring you guys an original monster, so please let me know what you think of it in a comment. If you want to see other monsters I've done, or the stat blocks and other versions of this monster, check out the Monster Monday blog or Twitter linked below. Thanks for watching and have a monstrous Monday.